And back to the AKAI show here on Smooth 90.5 FM HD with me and Nikki Braden in studio.
Hey, y'all.
All right. It is Friday. In fact, happy Juneteenth.
Juneteenth.
Now, I'm hoping to most people that means something.
Well, if it doesn't,
then
actually what Juneteenth is the recognition of the ending of slavery that happened in June, 1865?
1865.
And it's actually a contraction of June and 19th because it's supposed to be celebrated today.
There you go. So, happy June 19th. And it's so interesting that on a day such as this, that's historic, that I feel enough people don't even acknowledge that
it's supposed to be celebrated. Somewhere they're having a parade and they're kicking.
Well, I hope so, but it should be just as celebrated as Cinco de Mayo, which is Mexican Independence Day.
Yes, and July 4th.
Perhaps if we throw some liquor on it, people will do it. Anyways, but with that being said, on such a historic day, for not just people of color or black people, but I think for this country as a whole, it was a step to move forward. I'm not saying we did it gracefully, but you look at some of the things that are happening in this country. This what happened literally on Wednesday in Charleston, South Carolina, and it just tells you that we've made strides. We have such a long way to go. So this next segment we're going to jump into is Team Too Much. Team Too Much. Team Too Much. Literally, when a person just goes overboard with their situation and everybody's saying, okay, that's enough.
That's too much.
So with that being the case, our candidate for Team Too Much is unfortunately Rachel Dolezal, who has gotten ample media coverage. And in her latest, I guess you could say...
What is she up to now?
Well, her latest expansion of conversation about what's going on with her is she came out and said that she's also bisexual. Now, let me just say this. Actually, I don't have an issue with that, because at this point, Rachel just needs to air all her dirty laundry. I'm gonna tell you why. Because if she doesn't, somebody's waiting in the wings for their 15 minutes of fame to bring it up anyways.
But it's over now. I told you Wednesday something's gonna happen, and we're gonna get her out. So that was the last little thing she's gonna drop on us before she goes away. Because I think she's done now. Is it anything else, Rach?
Well, I'll tell you what. Well, and here's the thing. Interesting enough, Kelly Osbourne took to Twitter and made a spoof of herself, put herself like in a curly wig, and try to give what would be her version of making herself look like she might be black. Well, here's the good thing. People didn't find it funny.
I don't find it funny. I didn't even see it. I was
and
like, that's
it
not funny.
Was a stream of replies on Twitter, because she posted it on Twitter of how inappropriate it was. It's not funny.
It's not.
And I'm glad that people are drawing the line on this. Like, look, it's bad enough she did it.
Right.
What we don't need you doing is cracking jokes.
Because now that's blackface.
Right.
Now that's blackface and you're crossing the line. I don't find it funny. I didn't even see it, but you just told me my mouth.
Check it out. I sent the link to you. And it's interesting because, Kelly Osbourne exited from the fashion police after Juliana Rancic had made her derogatory comment
about Zendaya
during a red carpet event. Was it the Oscars, I think, or something like that?
Yes.
And instantly people were appalled. She made a comment about her hair that it looked like it would smell like marijuana because she had worn like
the dreads,
a dread type, hairdo. And instantly people were appalled by that, and Kelly Osbourne exited Fashion Police. So you tell me, if you had enough wherewithal to know that that was a wrong comment that Juliana Rancic made, why would you then turn around and do something like this?
I don't know if she was trying to make light of it and do like a satire. You know how some people do satire, and I don't know if she tried to do that and say how ridiculous it is. I have no idea. I can't jump into that woman's head, but she has to know that no one will look at that and think it's funny or even get what you're trying to do, because whatever you were trying to do and whatever message you were trying to send, I'm telling you, it probably didn't have that effect.
Well, on Twitterverse, because it's its own universe, people laid into her and let her know that they did not think it was funny, and it isn't. I'll be honest. Even in the case of Rachel Dolezal, I don't necessarily see what she did as blackface. To me, blackface is entirely something different.
No.
She holds firm to this point that she identifies with black culture.
I believe that.
She does not identify with being white.
But when you do it, now that's what I'm saying. Now that's black. You can't do that.
There's nothing funny about that.
It's nothing funny.
Actually, there's nothing funny about the situation.
No.
And nobody looked at it. No one laughed at what she did.
Right.
So why she thought that was appropriate, don't know. No. Poor judgment. But, in the case with Rachel, unfortunately, here's the thing. She's laying all her cards on the table, which I guess at this point you might as well be transparent, because, like I said, if she's got anything erroneous or wrong in her past, it's going to come to the surface. So she might as well put all her cards on the table and be done with this.
But I guess my question is, you've stepped down from the NAACP, so you no longer, I would even kind of get her coming out as being bisexual if she was still in the NAACP, and let's just make sure nobody digs up anything else about me. But now you're just kind of like a regular person in society. So what you do really is your business. It doesn't relate with your job or have anything to do with that. You're kind of stepping out of the public eye unless she plans on doing something else on a platform for African Americans
she's actually already being approached to do a reality series, which actually might be kind of interesting, though I believe a lot of it would be contrived.
I told you.
I think it would have no real authenticity to it because you missed her life unfolding to get to this point.
Exactly.
So hence, anything she gives you to me is calculated at this point.
Right.
So the most she can do is, to me, interviews and speaking engagements.
I was like, a book is coming, those kind of things.
That's it. But reality TV, no place for it. No place.
She's stepping out of the public eye. She's gone with the NAACP. I think whatever.
Call now.
But, part of what she can do, and tell us your thoughts on this, 708-223-0030.
Call now.
Call now. That was a call to action from Rob.
Call now.
He's like, call now. He's like, look, people need to call in and give their comments on this. But here's what I think she can do as a next step. If she wants to deflect from all the attention about what I feel she's trying to identify as transracial identity, which is something that doesn't exist, but realistically it's always existed. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of how people perceived it. Because I read a really interesting article about Walter White.
Who's Walter White?
Who was see what I mean? Now, interesting. Right. Walter White. See, man, I sent you all these fantastic links last night.
Yeah, I was sleeping.
Well, so what? Wake up and read. Wake up and read. Reading is fundamental.
At midnight, I was sleeping.
Dude, I was sitting up at 1 o'clock. I was just
I woke up this morning. I woke up
at
5 a.m. and I was all like, what is this? I'm like, I have to be glammed up on a red carpet. I'm not reading at midnight. Sleeping. I'm getting my beauty sleep.
You was getting your beauty on?
I was getting my beauty.
You could read it?
No.
Okay, so, interesting enough.
Find it.
There was, Walter White was a NAACP national president in the 1930s. He actually was black, but looked white.
Okay.
Blonde, like blue eyes, light hair. And if you see the pictures of him, I'm going to post a story to my Facebook page, the AKAI show. He really does look Caucasian. Like, on any given day, this man did not look black. And he was talking about his struggle with trying to establish and convince people
that he was black.
That he was really black. And actually, he went toe-to-toe with W.B. Du Bois because he wanted to take over control of the NAACP at that time. And he was like, no, this is my thing. This is what I'm doing. And
he looks like Albert Einstein.
Absolutely, he looks very Caucasian. And at the end, Du Bois didn't win the battle. He exited from the NAACP and took a lot of the intelligentsia ahead of him. And so he didn't. He left the NAACP. But there's a memoir about Walter White, who he had the reverse struggle with trying to establish that he was actually black and not white, and how it caused a lot of friction. So the article was about, before there was Rachel Dolezal, there was
Walter White,
which is really an interesting read about, sometimes transracial identity does exist. On the flip side, there were many people back in the day that were black that could pass for white, and they did it.
Yes.
So when people act like it's not real, it might have been contrived, it might have been for benefit, but the reason is it's not an obsolete thought.
No,
it's not.
That's what that movie Queen, remember?
Yes, it was about.
The whole thing.
Alex Haley expanded from roots from that.
Right.
So it's an interesting conversation that she started, and I think we need to step back and look at the bigger picture. But at this point, I think what Rachel needs to do, if she wants to get back on her square, with her efforts were to improve the conditions for people of color, for African Americans.
She needs to start talking.
She needs to start talking and get back to what the NAACP said. She did a stellar job.
She needs to get back to that.
As the president of the chapter in Spokane, Washington. Put all this nonsense to the side. Like, I'm done talking about this. I know you didn't like what I did. Maybe I should have done it differently, but my heart was in the right place. I can't change how I feel about who I feel I am.
Right.
But my cause was, I didn't just do this and all of a sudden marry a black man, have kids, and masquerade. I got deep into the struggle with you.
Right.
So there's something real going on here in Charleston, and this is the kind of stuff
to start talking
that
about
I was trying to advocate and change in Spokane, Washington. Go back to what you were doing and deflect. Because people are going to keep dragging you back. Every time I get out, they keep bringing me back. The Godfather. Didn't he tell you that?
Crabs in a barrel.
Don't tell you. Every time I get out, they pull me back.
Yes. And I would rather her speak, and I would rather her speak to the things that are going on now than her being bisexual. I don't care.
This is actually, believe it or not, an area of expertise that she has.
Yes.
Whether you like it or not. You didn't like how she did it. No one liked how she did it.
Right.
Okay, she made a mistake. She probably regrets it. But at the end of the day, she's not the first person to make a mistake, and she's not going to be the last.
Right.
But is there real sincerity in her cause? And if it is, this is a moment in time right now.
Yes.
For her to step her game up and change her approach at what's going on.
Right.
Seriously going on. So to me, though it's teamed too much about Rachel this and Rachel that, to me, she's trying to validate too much. And my thing is this. In your heart of hearts, if this is who you feel you are, People you're not going to appease some people. They'll be like, you're not black. You're never going to be black. I don't care what you do. I don't care how you feel. Because people,
if you're waiting for everybody's approval, you are going to be waiting
forever.
Because you cannot please
So just
everyone.
go ahead and you can go ahead and apologize and say, if I offended some people because of what I did, my moves was never to offend anybody. This is just how I felt. And I made a decision that I wanted to immerse myself in the culture, and I went this direction. I understand a lot of people don't approve of it, and until people knew about it, nobody really cared. People accepted me, and my life went on, and I was doing progressive and good things. But now we're back to semantics, and I get it's a big semantic. It is. But this is how I feel. I apologize. If you don't accept my apology, I understand. But I'm not going to step away what's true in my heart.
Because it's taken away from the work that we could be doing. The good work that could be done is taken away from that. She was doing an excellent job, as you keep saying. So this just takes away from the progress that we could be making. But this is, again, like you said, it's a time for her to come out and talk and get back to what she's
doing. Now, granted, she's no longer the chapter president for the NAACP in Spokane, Washington.
She stepped down.
But she's also an instructor in African American history and things of that nature. Look, take your expertise and start having a conversation. I mean, I understand that she may not want to have this dialogue as a white person. I get it. But one of the things that I always say, especially as we transition over to talk about Charleston, South Carolina, is that to get to the heart of this matter, literally, it's a conversation about race that needs to happen, though people keep deflecting. In fact, I'd like to say something. When Starbucks wanted to have the conversation about race, they wanted to start a conversation about race. They had a whole logo put together. They're going to put on cups.
Yes.
And kind of just get people thinking. People criticized Starbucks and thought it was unacceptable and not professional. Now, one part I didn't necessarily agree with was the baristas asking me when I ordered my caramel macchiato about anything racial. That would seem kind of weird. But my thing is this, because they also wanted the baristas to be part of the conversation. Now, I thought that was dangerous.
Yeah, that is
Because on any
dangerous.
given day, you may not know.
Yeah.
So
you catch me on the wrong day,
Right.
you're not going to like my answer.
Unless, for instance, a lot of people frequent the same Starbucks, and you've come to know your customer, then maybe you have a conversation with that person that you know. But I liked how they were putting, like, how they have the checks on the side of the cups that, like, say, decal, shot, syrup. They were actually going to put the things that were racially related on the side. And then check it as a thought.
I wonder what those things would be.
Actually, if I could find the article, they had a sample of
Did
the cup
they have
because
a
it started
sample?
in New York City. And actually, it wasn't anything off the cuff or weird. And I thought that's a simple way to get people to think. Mm-hmm. So people shut down Starbucks and told them how unreasonable that was. For some reason in this country, nobody wants to have a real conversation about race.
Because it's a nasty thing, and you either have to take responsibility for it and do something to change it. If you pretend it's not there, then it's easier to go on about your day. Let's just pretend it's not there. Let's just pretend it doesn't exist. We don't want to talk about it. It's an ugly thing on both sides of the coin. It's very, very nasty, and so let's pretend it isn't there. You don't have to address
it's an ugly truth that's part of the American fabric. For
some
reason,
it's so weaved into the fabric. It's
seriously,
weaved deeply into
very
the
much.
fabric.
It's a very